Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important and honestly one of the most misunderstood features in Luca accounting, the reporting period. Now, if you've been using Luca for a while, you've probably noticed this section under your setup menu. Maybe you've clicked on it, seen a list of years with some status, and thought, okay, I'll deal with that later. Well, today is that day. Because if you don't understand how reporting periods work, you could accidentally lock yourself out of editing transactions in a closed reporting period, or worse, close a financial year without realizing those entries are no longer editable. So let's break this down properly. Here's what we're going to cover today: what a reporting period actually is, and why it exists, the three period statuses, and what each one means for your data, how to safely change a period's status, step by step, what data gets affected the moment you close a period, and how to change your financial year end date if your financial year doesn't align with the calendar year. Let's get into it. Every reporting period in Luca has one of three statuses. Let's go through each one. Status 1, open. When a period is open, it's business as usual. You can create invoices, record bills, process receipts, reconcile bank transactions, post journal entries, everything. No restrictions. This is the default state for every new period that Luca creates. Status 2, adjusting. Now here's where things start to get serious. When you move a period to adjusting, you're telling Luca, I'm in the final stages of closing this year. I'm done with day-to-day transactions. I just need to make some final accounting adjustments. In this mode, the only transactions you can still post are journal entries. Everything else, invoices, bills, receipts, payments, is blocked. If you try to create a regular transaction for a date that falls inside an adjusting period, Luca will stop you. This is designed for your accountant or bookkeeper to make year-end adjusting entries, things like depreciation, prepayments, accruals, without accidentally letting any new operational transactions slip through. In many cases, this cannot be reverted back to open once moved to adjusting, depending on system configuration. Status 3, closed. This is the final state. When a period is closed, it is finalized for the reporting period. No transactions can be created, edited, or deleted for dates inside that period. The data is finalized. And just like adjusting, a closed period typically cannot be reopened once completed. Once it's closed in Luca, it is typically not editable after finalization. This is by design. It helps protect financial records from accidental or unauthorized changes after year-end. Auditors often prefer this approach as it helps ensure data integrity. Okay, this is the part most people don't realize. When you close a period, Luca doesn't just slap a closed label on it and move on. It actually does a lot of important work in the background, automatically. Here's exactly what happens the moment you confirm a period closure. 1. Luca calculates the closing balance for every single account in your chart of accounts as of the last day of that period. 2. Those closing balances are automatically carried forward as the opening balances for the next period. So your balance sheet picks up exactly where it left off. 3. Your retained earnings account is recalculated. Luca takes your prior year opening retained earnings, adds the net profit from the period that just closed, and sets that as the new opening balance for retained earnings in the next period. 4. All of this happens across every currency if you're running multi-currency books. This is part of the accounting cycle closing process, and in many systems, this step cannot typically be reversed once completed. So before you close a period, make sure all your bank accounts are reconciled, all invoices and bills for the period are finalized. You've reviewed your profit and loss and balance sheet, and they look correct. Your accountant has signed off on any adjusting journal entries. At this point, you're ready to proceed with closing the period. Take your time with this step. Once a period is closed, it is finalized for reporting purposes. All right, let's walk through this together. I'm going to show you exactly how to change a reporting period status step by step. From your Luca dashboard, go to the Setup menu in the left sidebar and click on Reporting Period. You'll see your list of reporting periods here. Each row shows the start date, the end date, the year, and the current status. One important rule to know up front: you can only change the status of the latest open or adjusting period. You cannot skip ahead and close a later year while an earlier one is still open. Luca enforces this strictly to keep your books in order. Find the period you want to update and click the Edit button on that row. A modal window will appear showing the year and the current status. Remember, you can only go forward, open, adjusting, closed. Select the new status from the drop-down. Read the confirmation message carefully. Luca will remind you what this change means. If you're moving to adjusting, you'll be reminded that only journal entries will be allowed from this point on. If you're moving to closed, you'll be reminded that this is permanent and that opening balances for the next period will be calculated automatically. You'll also need to tick a confirmation checkbox before the button becomes active. When you're ready, click Close Period to confirm. And there it is. The status on that period has updated. If you close the period, the next period's opening balances have already been calculated in the background. Now let's talk about a slightly different scenario. What if your business has changed its financial year end? Or what if you set it up incorrectly when you first configured Luca? For example, maybe your year used to end in December, but your accountant has advised you to shift to a March year end. You can do this in Luca, but there are a few things to know first. You'll notice there's a Change Year End button, but only on your latest period. You cannot change the year end of a period that's already been adjusted or closed. So if you need to do this, do it before you lock the year. Click the Change Year End button on the latest period. You'll see a form that lets you select the new month that your financial year should end. Select the new month. What Luca does here is update the end date of your current latest period to match the new year end you've selected, and then it prepares the next period to start from that new month going forward. Confirm and save. Your reporting periods will now reflect the new financial year structure. All future periods will automatically follow the new cycle. Before we wrap up, let me quickly run through the most common mistakes I see people make with reporting periods in Luca. Mistake 1. Closing a period before reconciling. If your bank accounts aren't fully reconciled before you close a year, your closing balances will be off. And since you can't reopen the period, you'll need to make correcting journal entries in the next period. Not ideal. Always reconcile first. Mistake 2. Moving to adjusting too early. Some people click adjusting thinking it means I'm roughly done, but the moment you do that, your team can't post any more invoices or bills for that year. If you're not actually in the final adjustment phase, wait. Mistake 3. Not involving your accountant before closing. The period closure triggers the automatic retained earnings rollover. If your accountant still needs to post year-end adjustments like depreciation or tax provisions, those need to go in before you close. Closing first and adjusting second is the wrong order. Mistake 4. Trying to change the year-end after closing. Remember, the Change Year-End button only appears on the latest open period. Once you close a period, that option is no longer available for that year. If you need to change your year-end, do it before the year is finalized. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about reporting periods in Luca Accounting. To recap, your reporting period controls the financial window your transactions sit inside. Moving a period from open to adjusting restricts it to journal entries only. Moving it to closed locks it permanently and automatically rolls forward your opening balances and retained earnings. Take it seriously. Take it carefully. It's one of the most important tools you have for keeping your books clean and your year-end process under control. If you have questions about this or want to see a walkthrough of any other feature in Luca, drop it in the comments below. And if this was helpful, Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you in the next one.